What's up, fam? Hit that like, hit that subscribe. We got some Eagles news to talk about.
I mean, how silly is that, man? We're talking about practice.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of A2D Wednesday Nights. We, as always, every Wednesday night, we are brought to you by Baggio's Bread. Baggio's Bread, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pies, sandwiches, cutlets, meatballs. Mention A2D Radio for 10% off your in-store purchase. Later on the show, we're going to give our score predictions for the USA-Canada National Four Nations game tomorrow night. We're going to touch on the little Phillies Spring Training action, Sixers second half preview, Lonnie Walker. But our main topic at hand, Eagles, I feel like they're going to do this to us all off season. They're just going to stay in the spotlight. They're going to make us talk about them all off season, and why not? Your Super Bowl champs. We are going to talk about Kevin Patullo, new offensive coordinator for our Philadelphia Eagles. Before we get into that, let's get into these guys. As always, we got Ryan, Mikey Buckets, Luke. I'm Greg Milokovic. No Tom Arnone tonight. He is missing tonight. We will miss him as always, but the substitute teacher's here, and we are about to go watch a movie. So let's giddy up and let's get off the rails. All right. So the poll question for tonight. The poll question is: the Eagles made the right decision by promoting Kevin Patullo to offensive coordinator. Do you agree? Disagree? Chime in, join us, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. That's where we're live. Everywhere you get your podcast, you can find us there as well. Most importantly, though, share our show, comment in. Let's get this conversation started. Gentlemen, I think it is the right decision. We talked a little bit about it backstage, right? At this time in the offseason, though, there wasn't very many other names out there, right? There wasn't very many people available. Kevin has been Nick's right-hand man for as long as Nick's been a head coach. So it almost feels natural, too, that after you finally win a Super Bowl and you win a Super Bowl as dominating in a fashion as you did, then I think Nick gets a little bit of a hire here. And Nick gets a little bit of all right, here, come on, let's go. Let's bring in him. But he's been around. It's not like he's just been here, right? Like I said, he's been around Nick for a while. He's been wide receivers coach. He's been quarterback coach. He's been assistant head coach. He's been all around the building in different roles. So I think the only thing we're just changing with him now, obviously, is he is now the coordinator and he will be calling plays. So what does that mean? We'll kind of get into that later on. But for the poll question, I agree. What say you guys?
I don't know. This is a tough one. I feel like most times in the polls, I kind of have like a definite answer. There's two narratives in my head right now. One of which is saying, like, why didn't they interview anybody? Because it's free. Like, this guy wasn't going anywhere. You might as well have seen what is out there. There's some veteran guys that get it. You're towards the end of the coaching cycle, but there's still some veteran guys out there that have called plays before. So that's kind of my big question of why didn't they do it? But then the other narrative fighting against that is saying, a few years ago, we did win a Super Bowl, and Doug Peterson said, hey, I want to hire my staff. That caused a lot of like untrustworthy relationships within the building, a collapse unlike we've ever seen. And obviously we're thankful for it now because we got a Super Bowl, but we don't want to experience that again. So I could see why they just gave him one. I see that, but there's two narratives in my head saying like, why didn't you interview somebody? But also like, okay, you don't want to make the same mistake you did a few years ago. So I don't want to shit on the guy and say that like he's undeserved because we don't really know anything. But I kind of think that at the end of the day, it's the right choice. Now, if they had interviewed people and said, this is our guy, it would be like, okay, fine. This is your guy. It's totally fine. I just don't get the choice to not interview anybody. That is what I just don't get. But I'm not going to sit up here and bitch and moan after we won a Super Bowl and they hire someone in-house and they go against a decision that they made that blew up in their face, fine. But if I'm being nitpicky, I mean, I just don't get why they didn't interview anyone.
No, I definitely hear you on that one, and that is very valid, right? I think that the same. outside of college guys, who was really available to hire right now, right? Like us and New Orleans are the only teams that are still looking for coaching hires, right? So the pickings would be slim, but I hear your point. It's never a bad opportunity to take the opportunity to talk to people, right? Whether you hire them this round or you hire them whenever, it never hurts to take the opportunity to talk to people. So I hear you there.
Yeah, so I have no choice but to trust the front office. I do think it's interesting. This is the fourth offensive coordinator for Jalen Hurts, right? You had Steichen, Brian Johnson, Kellen Moore, and now Kevin.
Just in the NFL.
So, yeah, I mean, that's just the business of the NFL, but it is crazy. Like, I feel like it's one of the few sports where, like, you win championships and you lose your coaches. You lose your coordinators because of it. It's almost like the only disadvantage to winning so much is the turnover. But turnover is a part of sports. I have no other option than to just trust the front office because I feel like they've made – there's a couple hiccups here and there. There always will be, but for the past decade, they've done the right thing. So I'm undecided, but I don't know too much about the guy. But I trust the front office. Just won a Super Bowl, and at least there's already relationships built. At least he already knows, his way around the building.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree. I really wanted to have somebody come on in here with play calling experience. If I really, really wanted to talk about that. Now I know Patullo's like he's Sirianni's guy. He's been with him forever. My hope is that he's able to take something from both, what he had with Steichen when they first started here, and then, take whatever he had from Kellen Moore from last year, combine those two different coaches together, and really just keep together what we had going this year. Like, don't try to make things too difficult. Give the rock to Saquon when he needs it. You got two phenomenal wide receivers on the outside. And really just trust your quarterback because, again, you have too much talent to fail. So, again, I'm disagreeing with the fact that, like, you hired somebody like we talked about who we didn't really interview anybody else, and he's never called plays before. So we saw how that was last year. So I'm hoping we're not going to have another situation like that. Again, we'll wait and see. I don't really know much about Kevin Patullo other than the fact that he's worked for the Eagles for the last 4 years. But I'm leaning towards disagreeing, but I guess I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, and I could definitely understand that as well. I also look at it, too, although it's a new coordinator, it gives Jalen a familiar voice, right? We've all seen the stats of how many play callers or offensive coordinators Jalen has gone through from even high school all the way up here. And, yes, it's another change, but it's another guy that Jalen has been working with for the last couple of years. So, I feel like that's got to count for something as well in their decision, right? To let's keep some continuity here. And Ryan, as you said, right, with this offense, the four of us could go call plays, right? And we probably still make the playoffs, right? You know what I mean?
I still think if you ran a A.J. Brown slant every play, it would hit at least every other play.
Yep.
He'd have 16 catches for 300 yards a game.
Yeah, 100%. And like we were all saying, like, this offense is intact coming back, right? Like, there's one hole potentially, and I have a feeling he's going to be back anyway, and that's Becton. Everybody else on this offense is back next year. So I say kind of going with my agree is if there's a time to take a chance on a guy that we might not know fully, it's right now, right? It's off of a Super Bowl with an offense that is coming back fully intact. Let's see what he's got. And you're right, Ryan. Hopefully over the last couple of years of being in the building around different types of guys, he's been able to pick some and add some things to his repertoire, from those guys.
I kind of want to shoot down the Brian Johnson comparison because that's just it's different. It's very different. First, if you remember, even before Brian Johnson was even the quarterback's coach, they really tried to get him here just in that position. That was someone that Howie Roseman really liked and had a lot of familiar with. That was more of a front office decision and also familiarity with Jalen. He recruited him to Florida when he was there. They really liked him from an organization perspective. And when Steichen left, they basically said to Sirianni, like, where are you going? You haven't really accomplished much at all. You didn't win the game. This is a guy that we really like. This is your offensive coordinator. This is a trust in Sirianni decision. It's completely different. I think the two are just way, way, way different. We're also talking about a guy in Patullo who has a lot more experience in the NFL, where it felt like Brian Johnson spent a lot of time in college.
Yep.
And that just didn't really seem to help him much at all.
He had a lot of familiarity with Jalen, but he wasn't very NFL seasoned. I mean, I think Patullo was, 16 years, I heard he said today or something like that?
Yeah, and the hiring
around.
From the standpoint of, like, how familiar you are with the guy, who's making the decision, I mean, the two are just totally different. It's just not proportional.
Yeah, fair enough. Again,
but I do understand people saying, like, I want to bring in someone that's called plays before. Like, I totally hear, which is why I kind of go back to say, why didn't you interview anyone? That's like my only pushback on it is why didn't you interview? But I mean, again, we don't really know a whole bunch about the guy. He's been in the NFL for a while, so that makes you feel better than Brian Johnson. So I guess it's one of those, like, we'll see.
Yeah, it's just a boring wait and see thing. You're trusting Nick. I trust Nick at this point. You know, he made the adjustments over this past offseason. Obviously, it paid off. So I'm hoping this was like a collaborative thing where, like, you know, obviously the front office is backing Nick because Patullo is his guy. So hopefully it's a good decision. And again, I think we're too good to fail. So let's just make sure we're making, you know, the right calls on game day. That's it.
And what's funny too is you already know that the spotlight is just going to be on this guy. Like, we started this year 2-2, and we won a Super Bowl. Like, we started 2-2, like the house was on fire, and we just won a Super Bowl. We lost one game since that start. So it's just funny. Like, the first 3 weeks, if we go 1-2, even 2-1, this place would be freaking out. Like, this guy stinks.
Yeah.
We got
There's going to be no Super Bowl hangover, right? Like, there's going to be no leash with the Super Bowl in this one.
Not at all. Not at all. I'm pretty sure we were in like 2018, that first game, they were losing at like halftime and they got booed at halftime or something. It was like not even like a half. So you got to get your shit together pretty quick.
Oh, it'll be the same thing, right? It'll be the same thing. Totally. Thursday night football against the Bears. If Cale Williams comes in spinning it on us,
that's who you think it is?
That's who I think
Caleb
it is.
Williams.
I think it's Detroit.
I think they're going to save Detroit for a bigger primetime game.
Detroit will be like Sunday night.
And Detroit potentially starts you off with a loss, right? Chicago is still a win.
Oh, I am fully. Let me tell. I'm not saying
they're going to lose to Detroit, but I'm saying like that's a tougher game to throw the Super Bowl chance day one.
Right.
You know what I mean?
think that is the downfall coming from miles away.
Detroit?
I don't think it's a hot take. I think a lot of people are saying.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for it to fall down.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Because they lost a bunch of coaches off of their staff.
Lost everybody.
They lost a bunch of coaches. So like, what's
and I don't think Dan Campbell's that good of a coach to overcome all that.
Dan Campbell's rah-rah. That's the only. He had a really good staff. I think they're.
Pat, I like this thought. He goes, I think with how fast they made the decision shows how confident they are in him, but I can't give a straight answer since he has nothing on tape for me to judge. And that's fair, Pat. But I do like that first half, right? Like, he's been in a building, he's been around. We've said this. It's Sirianni's guys. So this is something, like you said, Luke, something they didn't really give Doug.
No.
Right? They didn't give Doug the least to say, hey, this is my guy. Then again, Doug had a whole staff of guys too, right? Doug's, pressed. We had Press Taylor for years and whatnot. Yeah. So those guys, you guys, who are some of the other names that you would have liked to see? In the chat we saw earlier from Jesse, he said Darrell Bevel. I wouldn't have cared for that one. Frank Reich's intriguing. But I'm also not a big bring back a whole bunch of guys type of guy either.
I actually think it's more likely, and I said this last week, I think it's more likely that obviously now they fill the position, but that Frank Reich would come back at a quarterback's coach role rather than an offensive coordinator. Like,
we're gonna need one of those too.
Yeah, when you're given that many opportunities to be a head coach and it's just blown up in your face, and obviously there's external factors to everyone, a failure like that. But, I mean, you're going to have to start from the ground up, probably. You're not just going to get the offense coordinator job. Just like I don't think anyone's offering Doug Peterson
he's
offensive coordinator position. Yeah, like I think he's going to have to do the same thing if he wants to come back.
What's up, Chuckster? What up, brother? John Michael Wilson. I agree with you. I think Becton's back.
Josh McCown's a pretty fun name, but that's also something. It's risky. Another guy like I would rather.
Where was he at? Was
than
he in
McCown? He was with
Charlotte.
He was, and then I think last year was with Minnesota.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Ivan Drago was on Minnesota's.
To me, like the McCown name is interesting, but I would go Patullo over him just because of the familiarity and those kinds of things, continuity. He's never called plays,
Right.
So at that point, you might as well just get the guy who's already been in there.
Yeah, Johnny, I did see that too. I did see Lane comment on social media how he was pumped to see the hire as well. And Chuck's echoes you, Luke, saying let's not compare Patullo to Brian Johnson.
Yeah, that's unfair.
It's just it's unfair.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Brian Johnson and the Matt Patricia, or who was the actual offense or defensive coordinator that year? Sean Desai. I feel like that was just a year we panicked and just got caught with our pants down.
Yeah.
Right? Because we were coming off a Super Bowl there, right? Super Bowl appearance. Right? That was we were coming off the Super Bowl appearance. Yeah. And then that's when Gannon bailed on us, and that's when Steichen bailed on us. And I just feel like at that point we got caught with our pants down and we panicked. And we made a pure panic move and hired a guy that really – and maybe Sean Desai was all right. He just didn't fit for us. But, promoting from within just because, again, you're in the Super Bowl. Everybody else has filled holes. Everybody else has filled coaching spots. So I feel like this time around we knew Kellen Moore was going, right? It was like the worst kept secret of all time that Kellen Moore was going. And I think they were prepared to make this hire or promotion, we should say.
Yeah, people are dying to bring other people in, and the main thing on social media, and even now I'm seeing the comments, is the Brian Johnson comparison is that it's in-house. Let's just be clear and honest. So was Desai, or Desai was out of house. Yeah. So was Patricia. They've made some bad coordinator decisions out of house. Let's be completely honest. So
they sure have.
Being that you brought up one example of a guy who, let's be honest, I think was an organizational failure. They loved him. They thought he would be the next big thing. They kind of believed in that continuity between him and Jalen, which we found out really wasn't much at all. So I think that narrative is just pretty unfair.
SJM chimes in. He says, Parks Frazier is a Reich Sirianni guy from Indy and worked well with Mike McDaniel last year in Miami. He will be relied.
Yeah, I saw that he was the guy that they brought in today. So
as like a QB coach?
I think he's the passing game coordinator. Yeah, okay. So they still have the quarterbacks coach hire, which normally is a pretty big name.
Yeah.
If in terms of assistant coaches, so that wouldn't totally surprise me if they went like a Frank Reich route. Yeah. Honestly,
and maybe that's what you do, right? Like as we've been talking, we talk about him not calling plays and that being like a big bugaboo for everybody in the area. But maybe you do back it up with a guy like Frank Reich or another big name offensive coordinator who's just sitting on the sidelines as that veteran presence, right? We tried to do that with Vic a few years ago. When he was that senior analyst, but that didn't quite work out. Yeah, Martian. Totally. Inmates run the building tonight. Holla! And yes, I was joking. Gail Williams is not spinning it on Coop and Q.
I'm with you there.
Yeah, no. Gail Williams 3 picks against the Birds next year.
Yeah. Coop won't have to wait till the Super Bowl to get his first of the year.
No.
But that was damn good theater, though. Damn good theater. John chimes in. I think we're going to miss Kellen more and more than we think because he was the MVP. Totally changed the way he coached to adapt to our team and run the offense. We're not going anywhere anytime soon. We have everyone locked up. Minus Becton, but yeah. No, I mean, yeah, we're going to miss him. I wish he would have stayed. I think he's going to, he would have had a better year going for a repeat than he would playing, getting 4 wins with Spencer Rattler. But I guess 15 mil a year for, one of the 2 people have the world. I guess that's enticing.
Yeah. Don't blame them.
Yeah. Like the poll is not would you rather keep Kellen Moore? So obviously we'd like to keep him, but it wasn't an option. It was, like you said, it was the worst kept secret that he was leaving.
I think he signed with the Saints back in December, honestly. But
He might have signed when we played with him. When we played him in week 4.
Also,
week 3.
half the big plays that we love too is Jalen Hurts just audibling, or I can't even say, doing audibles. Like it was literally just him checking to the next read.
Using athleticism, yeah.
Yeah, and also Barkley, like just, all right, we're not passing this. Let's switch it over to Barkley. Like that big home run against the Rams, that was all Jalen Hurts. He switched that at the line of scrimmage. So it's like I think play calling, like it's very important. But at the end of the day, the quarterback's in control. And this guy's been through a bunch of changes. He knows what it takes to win. Been to 2 Super Bowls now. Like I don't know. I trust him enough to where if he hears something in the headset he doesn't like, I think he's got the control to say to cut it right then and there.
Yeah, and let's be real too. It's not like Nick Sirianni's going anywhere either, right? They're all involved in the play calling, right? We saw from that clip even in the Super Bowl when the play action to Smitty for the dagger, right? Kellen Moore was talking with Nick about it, right? It wasn't like Kellen Moore was, they were all ready to go, but he was going back and forth with Nick about it. So, it's not like Nick's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And what made Brian Johnson so bad too was all those little screens behind the line of scrimmage. You're throwing it to Gainwell and Miles Sanders. Now you're throwing it to Saquon Barkley. So you almost get away with it. Like even if he's as bad as Brian Johnson, you have Saquon Barkley now. So it really, like, how bad can he be if you just hand the ball off and he's getting 4 or 5 yards of carry?
Well, Brian Johnson,
I'm going to boot you if you keep putting shit in there, Martian. I'm going to boot your ass.
Oh, we can get into some predictions.
Bond's back, baby. Bond's back.
He's gonna be
I think the deal's already done.
I'd be shocked.
That's me.
I mean, Howie doesn't like, and people talk about the linebackers or whatever and how he might value it. When you go to all-pro status, Howie likes keeping you in the building. It doesn't matter where the hell you're playing. So I think that kind of goes without saying. But yeah. I mean, I don't know if you
I agree here, RGB.
Sweat and Williams. Yeah, that's basically what Adam Schefter said today. He said he'll have a better understanding after the combine, but if he had to guess today, he said Bond would be back and Becton would be back.
Yep.
And that Sweat and Williams would be gone.
And I think that's
Sweat
okay.
was awesome in that Super Bowl.
He was.
Like we got to give him his flowers. Like if he goes, hell of a job, because that was
absolutely
awesome. Like,
and pimped out the Chris Long coat like well. Always did the best seller in sports. We talked about it on Sunday, right?
Best seller in sports.
One of the best sellers. But you also think look at the markets too, right? Look at the markets, free agent, trade, draft. The draft is insanely deep at D tackle and D end.
Yep.
And there's one Myles Garrett out there as well, right? And you know how he loves to make a splash. So I bet you if he could find a way to move on from Huff's contract on top of letting like Sweat and Williams go, and let's be real, Williams is 25 years old. It sucks to talk about letting him go.
Yeah.
But I think it kind of feels like to me it's like another Javon Hargrave type of scenario. I don't think he's going to be as good somewhere else. Completely. And Javon Hargrave never lived up to that contract in San Fran.
And they also love Ajomo, too, at a pretty solid end of the year.
Too. And Thomas Booker flashed it every once in a while.
I do think that they're going to spend some type of resource at the edge spot, though, especially because we all think Sweat's like a lot to be gone.
Yeah.
I think that maybe it's either in the draft or a name that I found out there. It's a free agent who every NFL team, even if you stink, you find one of these because there's so many guys in your roster. But Howie does it at another level, whether it's Becton or a Bond or someone you can get in like a cheap deal that pops off. There's a free agent out there who is younger, on the younger side, not lived up to expectation out of Ohio State, went on a 1-year deal last year, didn't really prove it yet either. Chase Young. Chase Young is a guy who signed for like $8 million last year.
I could be in on that.
He's going to sign for less than that because he only had 5 sacks and he really didn't live up to that contract. And he's going to be on a 1-year prove-it deal. And if I'm his agent, I'm telling him, yo, Josh Sweat's out the building. Who knows what they do in the draft? Yeah. If you want to restock your market for next year, what better place than Philadelphia? They don't do it better than anywhere than Philadelphia. So I think that's like a fun name that they could bring in for cheap that obviously isn't as good as Sweat, but you hope for leaps.
Well, the upside Nolan to be Smith. Better than him.
Yeah, and
right.
you get leaps from Nolan Smith, and you get leaps from guys like that, and
saw leaps from Smith and Jalix Hunt, right?
Right. So then what would you really be asking out of that guy in the first place? So
yeah, BG type snaps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I actually like that name, and you always worry with him, right? You always worry about the off the field stuff, the locker room stuff.
Yeah.
But we're coming off a Super Bowl, right? You're gonna fall in line. We got enough veteran leaders on this team, even though we're super young. We got enough veteran leaders on this team that he's going to fall in line in that locker room. Or on a 1-year deal, you're gone, right? It's as simple as that.
I mean, the Eagles have shown in the past that doesn't really matter whatever your previous stuff was. Look at Jalen Carter, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason he fell to us at 9.
Big Dom. So, that's what it is. It's Big Dom.
Yeah. Again, you have that culture in the locker room that you're either going to buy in and you're going to have the best year of your career, or you're just not going to fit here. We're going to cut you week 2. So that's pretty much it.
Primetime Steven, I don't think Nakobe Dean's going to be healthy to start the year. He might not be healthy all year, unfortunately.
That was awesome seeing someone had a sign at the parade, and it was shout out to the Eagles medical staff. 21 out of 22 that started the year were on the field for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was pretty insane.
Insane.
That's crazy.
But Dean, I think is going to be a big loss this year because I think it spoke volumes for Sirianni to ask Nakobe to speak before the Super Bowl, right? Wasn't playing, hadn't played in a couple weeks, right? It was obviously hurt, but when he was on the field, we know how impactful he was. So I think it spoke volume to what they think of him as a leader on that team to ask him to speak and talk to the team before the Super Bowl. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I watched that video. I was fired up by the time I got to Saquon. I was like, let's go. Can we play this game? Even though it was already played, right? I'm like, let's go rewatch this game now.
Yeah.
I also think some of these guys we're naming that might leave. It could be a CJ Gardner situation where he just comes right back.
Could be.
Like you said, he might not be as good elsewhere, but then they come back 2 years later.
Yeah.
And we get him for even cheaper.
He did go with Kellen, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Martian. Kellen can't wait to take the straight traffic off Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill, quarterback, starter week 1.
That'd be interesting.
It really should be.
I do think an interesting question going into next year, and I don't think it's talked nearly enough. People talk linebacker and edge and maybe offensive line if Becton's gone. I mean, that second cornerback spot is a huge deal. Who's that going to be? Do they bring back Slay on a cheaper deal and he runs it back from his last year? Or is it through the draft again? Or is it hey, does Keely Ringo finally get his chance to go out and get his opportunity? So I don't know. I
think the same thing can be said with Isaiah Rodgers, right? I think you throw Isaiah Rodgers, right? He is, but you throw him in there.
Right, yeah, totally.
Well,
I mean,
and I think
I'm pretty sure Isaiah Rodgers played in every game because Slay missed at least 5 games.
He didn't like tackling. He did not like tackling. We give him credit though. He had a big year.
He had a big year. They all did, right? You're not that defense without having everybody having a good year, right? It is interesting though, Luke, because even if Slay's back, we obviously know it's 1 year, right? He's already said he's done, and fair to him, right? He wants to leave when he can still walk around and be functional with his kids, unlike some of these other guys. But yeah, is it Keely? Do they bring Isaiah Rodgers back? Does Isaiah Rodgers have a little bit of goodwill in him, for the Eagles, sticking with him during his degenerate days? You know what I mean? I've always backed a fellow degenerate, so I'm in, And I thought in certain games he got picked on early, but then by the end of the game he was back to being him. You know what I mean? It almost felt like that he needed a few reps early on to get going, just like everybody else does. His reps, though, just come in when somebody gets hurt, right? Yeah. So his first reps are always when Slay goes down. But then by the end of the game, he's in there.
And then they target him right away because he's the backup, but we all know he's better than being a backup. That's the thing, too. It's like, I don't know. Do they give him that opportunity? The salary cap went up. Does that give you more room for Slay, or does that give you other signs to be like, should we just bring back Rodgers because we think with a year older with Slay, is this his chance?
Yeah.
I don't know. You're also talking about a cornerback, too, which on most teams stinks. I mean, Kansas City, I was surprised. I mean, Tom, I remember said it before the game. I was pretty unaware of how bad he was. Their second quarterback, I don't remember his name. He got diced up the field on that Devontae play action at the end of the game.
Yeah.
He was getting diced up pretty much all game every time they threw it at him.
Yeah.
That touchdown's unreal to me because that guy, he definitely does stink. He got burnt all game, but his hand was right there. Like Devontae Smith caught that. It was crazy.
No, it was so funny. I don't know about you guys, but I'm sitting there after that, Vontae Maddox pass. I'm like, all right, let's go 4-minute drive. Let's get some rush yards. Saquon, because I knew a bunch of guys that had Saquon's over 100 yards. They're like, come on, let's get that bet. I needed the touchdown, right? And then it's boom. I'm like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, no, just an absolute dagger.
Yeah.
You at that point, you knew the game was over. I think you knew the game was over at that point. But then they're just like, you know what? It's officially over because of this one play. No 28-3 bullshit that the Patriots pulled a few years ago. None of that. We're just going to throw this deep ball right here. It's going to be 5 touchdown game. You're cooked. It's over.
Yeah. I know. And it was perfect. It really was. And yeah, absolutely. That was the dagger. It was, I mean, we got a Gatorade bath at 4 minutes, right?
Yeah.
It might have been the earliest Gatorade bath of all time.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I saw a tweet that said it was the earliest of all time.
That's awesome.
The only one that would come close to my memory would be the Broncos Seattle Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That one was, I don't know. That was not very close.
Did you guys hear the guy from Vegas say how much money Kenny Pickett cost them? How much money did they win on Saquon? Saquon. Yeah. Well, no, he said they did well in the game. He goes, but that last 5 minutes with Kenny Pickett in there just absolutely torched him because it gave him the over on people passing because he had that incomplete, and he had over rushing because they had it counted for everybody else. But he took the knee, and I was like, that's awesome. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, good. Screw the sports books. They take too much of my money.
They sure do. SA says, I give credit to Kellen, but does anyone think Sirianni sort of molded him to this team as well? More kind of adapted of his brand of ball to straight bully ball. Nick was calling plays in Super Bowl. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a collaborative, effect, right? Kellen Moore came in, and yeah, I mean, they definitely adjusted things after the bye week, and we saw that. But yeah, I mean, it's a collaborative effect when you have guys like that.
I also think
there's a clip roaming around A2D somewhere of around a year ago. I haven't tried to find it. I won't. I said after last year that you might as well not watch. No chance that we win a Super Bowl with Sirianni and just running it back. Probably A2D worst take of the year. Not even close. Yeah. So I think that's roaming around somewhere. I won't find it.
I also think Jalen Hurts is going to get majority of the say. I think he's finally earned the reins to just run the offense himself. I think this guy's just going to be a puppet. I don't even think he's going to matter.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I think he's more than a puppet, of course. But yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know if Jalen's going full Peyton Manning calling everything from the line, though, either.
No, I think it's more Willie Beeman-esque. He's like, I don't like that play call. I'm going to call this one instead.
I'm calling this one instead.
Yeah.
Yo, did you notice, random thought from the Super Bowl, almost every single route, like when they're breaking from the huddle, Devontae Smith was grabbing A.J. Brown by the arm and dragging him to where he's supposed to be. A.J. has no idea where to go. What did you say?
I think he was just talking shit to the other team. Maybe you're right. That's what I thought it was. Stop talking shit.
Oh,
before the
maybe.
Completely
That's what I
unrelated.
thought.
Anybody see the Devontae Smith Call of Duty Warzone highlights? People
No.
thought he was cheating. Yeah, there was a video that came out on Twitter of him just shooting so straight. People thought he was cheating, and he's like streaming on Twitch right now. I think.
That's why our views are down. No.
Yeah, for sure.
Please do not draft
City.
Jack Sawyer. Please do not draft that.
Oh,
fake
I'm with
guy.
you. He is disgusting.
Please do not draft that fake.
I'd
tough
get
guy.
over it in about 2 minutes, but
I
for
would,
right now,
yes.
yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
What's up, Johnny? He says draft stay young. Plus, we're going to need to pay Carter soon. Yeah, I hear you.
Carter's gonna get a bag.
Yeah, I mean,
Johnny, I don't know that it's that high. I mean, he's projected right now to be under 10, right?
I was gonna say 328.
Projections 9.8. So, I mean, if you want to give some goodwill, maybe you go that high. But I don't think you have to.
Yeah, he'll get somewhere like 8.5. I think like 3 years, 8.5. So what? 8, 16, like. 20,
Well, that's the beautiful thing about the NFL, though. You got the right owner, and obviously Jeffrey Lurie is that guy, right? Who has no problem paying out guarantees right off the rip, right? So we could give him 3 for 15, but give him 25 mil guaranteed.
Yeah.
No, I was literally watching a video on this like yesterday about how Joe Burrow's like was talking or like about the salary cap and things, but his cap hit's insane. But then they talked about how he's able to, transfer stuff into signing bonuses and like spread the money out. Like there's no reason other teams can't do that. They just choose not to. They don't want to pay out those bonuses like that.
And I thought that was odd. It's a good point you bring up, Ryan, because I thought it was odd this year because we did end up under the cap. I'm shocked he didn't transfer anything this year. You know what I mean? I'm shocked he didn't transfer anything of Lane Johnson's like back, right? Because we've kicked Lane Johnson's can down the line a lot. Right. And some of these guys. So like, why didn't we restructure and take some cap hit out of this year? And maybe we were past that point, right? Who knows? You know what I mean? Maybe we were past that point where we could have done that. But I know we ended up under the cap. So I felt like there was a missed opportunity there to do what you're right, Howie usually has done. Howie has some one-hit wonders too.
Chase
Robinson,
Young, dude.
Blunt.
Let's speak it into existence.
Becton, Bond. Yeah.
Chase Young.
Chris Long, you can add to that list.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love that Chris Long, by the way. Again, off topic. I love that he's just turned into he was here like 1 year. And he's just turned into a straight Philly guy, right?
Yeah, totally.
I love it.
Through and through.
Yeah, I was watching their podcast. I forget what the Green Light podcast or whatever. He was talking about like the different experiences he had with Super Bowl parades because obviously he won with the Patriots the year before.
Yeah,
was like the Philly parade was just so much better. Like, the guys in New England didn't even have any alcohol. Like he brought his own alcohol.
Yeah,
everyone else was like, "Oh, this is good. Why do you like? Wow, we should have brought beer." Like, yeah, you guys have been winning for forever. You're like toasted. And he came to Philly that next year, wore that jacket, iconic. It's just he's like, it wasn't even. There's a reason why he likes Philly so much. A lot of it's because of that. So,
yeah, for sure. John, Oren Burks is a free agent as well. I mean, again, you want to talk about a guy that stepped in and played phenomenally down the stretch. He didn't miss a beat from when Nakobe went down.
Good for him too, because he came in for Greenlaw in the Super Bowl last year, which I didn't even know until before the game. So he got his lick back too.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll be back.
Rodgers is restricted, so we get first right. So I like that.
Okay. I didn't know that. I like that.
Johnny, I've heard this name come along a little bit more often as I start diving into some mocks and just looking at some things now that we know where we're going to be. Jahad Campbell is an interesting name, obviously a Bama guy. I still don't think he's ever going to draft a linebacker in the first round. I just don't think that Howie's going to do that. Right?
I think this is the most chalked up draft in the history of his tenure.
I think it's D tackle right off the rip. Right?
If he doesn't trade down, because he might trade down. This is where you get me into the Myles Garrett talk. I'm out of the Myles Garrett
because you don't have any huge holes, right? And if we're already talking about how he does and potentially trading out of 32, what's worse than giving away 32 and then what we project to be something 27 to 32 next year. Right? You give up 2 firsts, maybe a third, so we can attach Huff's, Huff's contract with it, and go get me Myles Garrett.
I just like having guys in the position to do what they've done year in, year out. It's just like, hey, we don't need to trade for somebody who's making a shit ton of money and going to cost us a lot of our assets. Let's just use our assets like we've been using them to get us here. I mean, the guys, he doesn't miss. At some point, like I was going to say, he's either going to trade out of it, which is what he did the last time we won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He traded out of the first round. Or he sits up and picks in the first 2 rounds, he's going to pick the lane replacement or edge or defensive tackle, like vice versa, whatever, like in that whatever order you want. I think the lane replacement's coming, and I think a defensive lineman, whether it be on the edge or defensive tackle, is a lock. I think you can book that.
Could the lane replacement be Becton?
No, I'm steering far away from that.
You don't move him back out after finding
definitely not. Definitely not. No,
not with Stoutland?
No, I can't.
If anybody could do it, it's Stoutland. But
we're not talking next year, right? We're obviously talking 2 years or whatever.
Yeah. I think they draft. Yeah, they definitely draft for sure.
I don't disagree with you. That's the intriguing thing with Becton, though, is he was a tackle. So if Lane goes out, you could move him on.
Yeah. You could. I don't know.
Yeah.
Rodgers would be a starter for most teams. We thought he would be a good runner until we realized, Mitchell and Coop were freaks of nature.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's probably the most likely outcome is that he's probably
Saints
playing.
Releasing Taysom Hill? I don't know. I didn't hear that.
Sign him up.
Interesting.
I did not see that.
I mean, if I think his contract's insane, so I could see that.
Mikey,
goat stature.
Allie says hi, Mikey Buckets.
Oh, hello. How you doing? How you doing? Goat stature. Listen, I was wrong. I did laugh when we said we are going to blow him out. I own it. But you got to admit, you were nervous as hell when A.J. Brown caught that pass down the sideline the first quarter. Nothing. Here we go with the refs.
Oh,
Bang,
yeah.
pass interference. I'm like,
I knew it right away.
Just because of the call. Like,
it.
You could have called a holding, and I would have been like, all right. You know what I mean? But you're hitting me with an offensive pass interference on a very marginal call. But we also can't sit there and say that Dallas Goedert got hit to the head either, right?
Oh, yeah.
You
got your comeback call.
Absolute makeup. But if they were to score, like, oh, my God, you'd be down 7-0 after one of the worst blown calls. Yeah. It was a perfectly timed flop. Like, yeah, he stiff-armed, but he fell at the perfect time. It looked way brutal in real time than slow motion. But, yeah, that's what I was worried about, stuff like that. Like, you get down the sideline, he makes a great play, and then offensive pass interference. Here we go. You're not just playing the Chiefs. You're playing the refs. But listen, screw them. We made it not even about that, which is good.
Yeah. That was the only time I was nervous. That was the only time.
Confidence was rock bottom.
Yeah. Your confidence was rock bottom?
I was like,
after that?
Fucked. At that point. Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
It was funny. Yeah. I was sitting in there Friday afternoon. I was sitting in a sports book in Las Vegas, and just some random local guy sits next to me. We start chit-chatting about the game and everything. And I didn't touch the game because I know my powers. I didn't touch the game. I did a whole bunch of touchdown parlays and score predictions. But he's like, if you really feel like it, he goes, why don't you take the ladder with the points? And in my head, I'm like, what are you talking about ladder? He goes, Eagles money line, right? -3, -7, -10, -13, 14. Just go until you want to stop. And I'm like, son of a bitch. I'm like, I would have murdered.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? I don't even know what the odds were. -14, right? Well, I don't even know what the odds were.
Probably plus 600 or something.
Probably at least that, right?
Yeah.
Jesse thinks Ursay is Lean's replacement.
I'm blanking on a name, but I think that there's 2 tackles out of Texas. Maybe one's a guard. I don't know. I haven't really started my draft prep yet, but
G.J. Sanders is a D tackle. Yeah, Johnny. I mean, the D tackles are loaded in this draft. That's kind of unfortunately why I think they end up letting Williams go, as much as it would suck. Fangio was never going anywhere for sure.
Well, that's why the Frank Wright thing is interesting too. If you can bring him here to be a quarterbacks coach, Patullo, if all things go right, is going to be a hot name. She's been in the league long enough, and if you do well enough, you'll probably get an opportunity. At that point, you would have two coordinators that probably will never get another head coaching opportunity because of age and whatnot.
I knew that pick turned into somebody. Thanks, Pat, for racking my brain. Last time the Eagles won the Super Bowl, traded out that last pick, it was Lamar. There's not a Lamar in this draft, so I have no fear for that.
Yeah, I think we're good. I think that's a pretty fun thing to predict, though. Like, who would be the cornerback next year? I'll put my money on I think I'm going to lean Rodgers is my best bet.
Yeah, I think they give Rodgers a shot.
I think
Nursery is the offensive tackle from Minnesota. Oh, yeah. That's a moose knock. Yeah.
I think Rodgers will be here, but I think it'll be Slay. He wants one more year. He already said it. I think he's going to get it. Now, does Rodgers beat him out for the job halfway through? We'll see.
No,
it's Slay's back. It's Slay. It's Slay's back.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But unless
and I'm okay with that.
Robinson, unless he
I don't think you're going to get both back. I don't think you're going to get both back. Because they want to spend the money around the other positions and whatnot, whatever.
Well, they don't want to really have any real holes, though.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
So you can get a little greedy, right? You can get a little greedy.
And I also.
But I hear you, because you're always going to draft at least a guy, right? You're always going to draft at least a guy.
Yeah. Is there no world you bring both back?
I think there's a big world.
No, I think that there's a world. I think it's more unlikely, but I think it's definitely possible. Like, definitely possible. I just don't know.
I think they keep him, and if he turns into Bradbury, then you'll see Rodgers. But if he doesn't, they just stick with him. And Rodgers
I think all the talk you hear from Slay is he understands the business side, right? He understands the business side. It's 1 year. He's got 1 year left on his deal.
Yeah, right. And
so he understands
talking about going back to Detroit.
Yeah,
like he understands.
I hope he don't go to Detroit, but yes, I could.
Yeah, well, no, he openly said that if he doesn't come back, it's because of us, and he would want to come back.
Yes, he said that today or yesterday.
It would be us. And if you think about it, after restructuring, I think like Cam Jurgens is someone they're going to restructure.
Yeah.
There's some other guys on that like long name. Lane's another guy. There's a ton of other guys on that list. They should get to roughly like just under 40 million. So at that point, if you're giving Zach Bond, say 9, and you're giving Becton, say 7 or 8, or however you want to gauge that number, and then you have like that cornerback is going to make at least $6 to $7 million.
Yeah.
Then you bring in all these other like Chase Youngs or whatever. At what point are you going to have enough money to pay both of those guys to come back? That's where I just like don't know if
it's possible. You're absolutely right.
It's possible, but I just don't know if it's something that they're going to be dying to do.
Yeah. If we take a tackle, the first would indicate Lane's got 1 left. If they don't take a tackle, I would lean they wait a couple more years. Yeah, Lane's always tough. He's been doing it for so long. Geez, what's it? 15 years? I mean, he's got 2.
What was he drafted?
I think he
was Chipper 04.
The year after. Was that the year after we let Andy go? Was that 4 and 13?
It was Chipper's year, yeah.
Yeah.
Because Chipper drafted him and Cox.
What was that, like 2013? 2014?
Yeah, something like that. Ethan, Fred Johnson, one of the guys I dapped up on at the parade. I mean, for depth purposes, it's definitely someone you would like to bring back if possible. But, I mean, those guys are kind of all over the place.
My boy Tyler Steen.
He played well. I have no issues rocking with Tyler Steen.
That's why I'm surprised with this whole Becton news. I just thought that they just liked him enough to where he wouldn't come back.
He got ran over on the first play he came in.
Oh, he did. 100%.
It was hilarious.
2013.
Ran over.
Chris Jones spotted him out right away.
4th overall, 2013.
There we go.
But he was another, second, third round pick. So at some point, his time's going to have to come up, right? And maybe he is just that versatile, depth piece that just continues to, continues just to fill in multiple spots. But
he's a third rounder.
I'd be completely okay with going into him. We talked about going in with him last year and being okay with it.
I thought it was a lock.
Before we realized Becton was a monster.
He played a little bit the season before too. He was pretty good.
Yeah, I think there was a battle in camp for sure, but I think Becton just won it like outright. It wasn't even close.
Yeah, Johnny, it's funny. Gainwell didn't make a lot of money. Right, so you give him a little bit of a bump. Does he stay? Who knows? I really liked what he became with us with Saquon. I liked that change of pace with him. He was a monster on special teams as well. He made a huge tackle in the Super Bowl that I think the guy might still be running if he didn't.
Oh my God, huge tackle!
Yeah,
huge tackle.
So Gainwell, I mean, he's another guy. They have Shipley, so if they do let him walk. I do agree, John, that they probably fill that third role with a draft kid.
It's funny, it's funny you bring that up because, I think Gainwell's a solid player. I don't think he's going to be greatly missed if he leaves. You do have Shipley. You can always sign other people like him. I think he's solid. I think he did great for us. He played his role, but he's definitely replaceable. But it's funny how you brought up that tackle because, that's why I love sports. There's certain plays in games you forget about, and then you bring it up and you're like, holy shit. Yeah, that was that was 35 Millers ago, Miller Whites ago, but that was a huge tackle. That tackle was. I was like, holy shit, who was that? And he pops up Kenny Gainwell. I'm like, holy shit, I didn't even know he was on special teams.
Kenny G playing the saxophone.
Yeah, that was huge. That had Kadarius Toney written all over it.
Oh yeah. Can you imagine? And then my butthole would have been puckered up.
Yeah.
Because then that's the script from last year, right? You had the penalty already, then you got the special team stuff, then you're like, oh boy, here we go again.
And I was saying we ended on a penalty with Bradbury, and then we started with AJ Brown with a penalty. I was like, here we fuck again.
Yeah. Let's see.
But Gainwell's solid, but I don't get the urgency to bring him back. If he comes back, cool. If he doesn't, cool.
I think if you have the room for him, I'd be more than happy to have him back. I don't think he's going to get paid
I'm sure you can find an undrafted free agent that can do the exact same thing Kenny Gainwell did for.
I don't know, man. I think he was
100% right.
Very good in the passing game. I thought.
Yeah.
I thought anytime he was in the game, I always felt like he did his job. Always.
Oh yeah, I'm not knocking him. I just think he's very
No, I know, but that's where I loved Shipley when we drafted him because he was a great college player. But now it's at the point where to me that drop off is obviously you're talking about a second running back, but that's a noticeable drop off in my opinion. I trust Kenny Gainwell a whole of a lot more than I trust Will Shipley, and that's not even close.
Yeah, no,
100%. If it comes down to that though. You're screwed.
You're right. I hear what you're saying.
This team is completely behind Barkley.
Yeah, if Saquon gets hurt, it doesn't really matter who's back there. But I could see how he'll take a guy in the 5th round that he likes out of West Texas State or some shit. And he's going to be just as good. No.
Let's move up in the draft. Let's get Genty. Let's do it.
Imagine.
If we're moving up in the draft, there's only one spot I'm going.
I'm going
that's
Genty.
To the top. And that's to the top.
Abdul.
That's to the top. He wants to be here anyway.
He does.
I know Tommy posted that funny video of the dude running through the pylons on Instagram and totally just dogging his 40 for his combine stats.
If he's not the number 1 pick in the draft, I think it's an utter disgrace.
Yeah. No,
I'll go out on a limb.
It's just going to be a matter of if Tennessee wants to draft the quarterback or not.
But to me, it's if you're not, which clearly they're not, any team
we should be
who has the first pick in the draft
and is
open for business clearly does not love the quarterback that's out there. So, to me, it's why would you trade down 3 spots when you have an opportunity to get the best player in the draft and it's not even close? If you don't love the quarterbacks, what are you doing? I think it's a no-brainer.
I mean,
what are you
if
doing?
you're not going to draft the quarterback, it'll be just as bad next year. It'll be up there again. Maybe there's somebody there for you. But yeah,
It's like, no,
a
go
guy.
ahead, trade down 3 spots for an extra 3rd-round pick. When we can't speak for this, but in terms of Tennessee Titans fans, that guy will be a piece of shit, and you won't even hear about him. Like, just pick the guy that's the best player there.
Well, I mean, we have the best draft pick they've made in the last 10 years.
Yeah,
I know. It's incredible.
They didn't want him. That's another guy. They want another 1st-round pick for another bum. I'm getting amped up for Tennessee fans.
Traylon Burks, good old Traylon Burks. Yeah,
I feel like that's what Detroit did. Detroit got Aiden Hutchinson like 2 years ago. And that kind of jumpstarted 3 years ago. That jumpstarted that.
Right. And it's like, here we go. They didn't, it was like, maybe we need a quarterback, and they just went and got the best guy. That's the way to go.
Yeah,
Pat, I can't name it without looking, Pat. I can't name the 2 other 1st-rounders from Lane's draft that are still current players.
2013.
2013. That's pretty tough to do.
Oh my God.
I'd have to
give
look
me
it up.
positions. Give me positions. God, dude, who's been around that long? 2013. Is Russ in
I
that
have no
draft?
idea.
No, if not 1st-rounder.
No, it's 1st-rounders. There's
Yeah.
2 of them apparently.
Yeah, I got
DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh, I think SJM wide receiver and wide receiver, huh?
Another wide receiver. Was Odell in there? Was that draft?
Nah, that was maybe. Was that 2014?
No, we're talking 2013.
Yeah, so I don't think Odell. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think Odell was 13.
Oh, it's Cordero Patterson and DeAndre Hopkins.
Did you cheat?
Cordero Patterson.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been
Yeah.
There's no shot. Mike wasn't watching football back in 2013. He's got no clue what you're talking about.
No, I was. Back then, my fantasy team was the Chicago Bears. I had Martellus Bennett. I had Alshon Jeffrey. I had Jake Cutler. I had
Matt Forte.
Dude. Yeah, Forte. I literally just drafted all the Bears. My team was ride or die on their offense.
What's up, Cotton Ball? What's up, brother?
I haven't heard this guy's name at all. Tyler Eifert, is he still in the league? He had like a 2-year stint where he's a fantasy guy.
I remember him. Yeah, he got all banged up.
He's not in the league no more?
I don't think so. I don't think he played.
Yeah, he's been out of the league for a while.
Tyler Eifert.
I think so.
He
was a Bengal. Yeah, he was a Bengal.
Dude, he had like a 2-year like legacy run for fantasy.
He did have a good run. Yeah.
Tyler Eifert. Let's look. Yeah, he's been out of the league since 2020.
Yeah,
Jonathan, I'm gonna have to disagree with you there. I hate to say it. I think I didn't think I would get on here and just blow Kenny Gainwell all night, but I think he is a lot better than Will Shipley. Coming from someone who I was very excited about Will Shipley. He's an unbelievable college player.
Let's be fair, though. There's a few years experience difference there, right?
Totally. Now, in 2 years from now, Will Shipley might be Kenny Gainwell today.
I'm with you. Like, Kenny over the last year and a half has really changed my perspective on him. Exactly. That's the best word, Luke. Reliable. When he's in the game, you don't like, you were probably not getting the 60-yard shot, right? But when he's in the game, you're definitely betting the overs. Like, his overs, I think, hit every – except for the Super Bowl, his overs and yardage hit for a lot. So he's effective when we use him.
Yeah.
We can all agree Britton Covey, untouchable. Another
I would agree.
Star-studded year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolute stuff.
Well, actually,
guys, remember, if you're still flying high from the Eagles Super Bowl, hit that that subscribe, turn the notifications on, whatever platforms you're on. Do us a favor. It's the best way to help us out here. Stay with us. We're here all the time. Sorry, boys.
All good.
Be nice to see Britton Covey, though, come back. That's got to suck, right? Like, he was on pace to have probably his most productive year with us.
I don't want Tajin returning punts, though, next year.
No, not forever.
Too valuable.
He's too
valuable. He's good at it. I'm not saying he's not good at it. I just don't. There's no need for him to get hurt out there returning punts.
Cotton Ball, we started off with the Kevin Patullo news. Now we're just in some Eagles. We're about to transition over to some Sixers. We got a little Phillies on deck. And then we'll give our score predictions for the for the Four Nations game tomorrow night. Here's our poll question, Cotton Ball. The Eagles made the right decision by promoting Kevin Patullo to OC. Do you agree or disagree?
No Sixers.
No Sixers at all.
I'm with you.
I'm still. Yeah, I'm with.
I think we almost started the show on Sixers.
Yeah.
We would have had to talk an hour, right? We're an hour in. We didn't talk. We had to find an hour's worth of Sixers talk, and we could have, right? Because we're degenerates.
I just bitch for an hour. I could do that, right?
I almost made the comparison earlier about like the not making the same mistake with the Doug Peterson thing to the Sixers and how they repeatedly make the same mistake. Forget every year. They make it every time. They're like, yeah, like Embiid is active tonight. He'll play. Like, why? For what? For what?
Dumbest thing in the world. They should have called this season 2 months ago. Like, yeah, I know they're only a game out of the play-in. Yeah, I know that these guys haven't played more than 7 games together, the 3 of them. I'm so disgusted. And I'm finally starting to pay attention because now the Eagles are over. This is sports hell. There's nothing going on right now. I didn't watch the NBA.
They got caught in a lie. That's the biggest headline from what the last time I feel like we haven't talked about them in like a month. But
yes, Craig, they had 3.
To keep it short, I think the biggest thing that came out since the last time we talked about it, they lied. Embiid came out off the mic, off the air. He didn't completely off the record. He did not think this would get out. But he said to a reporter that he does need surgery and that it's going to take time for him to come back if he wants it to be completely healed. So basically, what he just unveiled to everyone by accident is that the whole organization not only has lied to us because they said that it's a hard thing to gauge and they don't know what's going on. Clearly you do because he knows. So if he knows, clearly you know. And they also just don't know clearly what's best for them moving forward. Because what's best for them moving forward is just, hey, sit the hell down.
Yep.
So that way we can tank and we can guarantee that you will be healthy for next year. We can trade you. We'll figure it out. But, they just don't know what's best for – it's a joke. It's a joke. So what, you can have the prices go on StubHub for $1 to $3? I mean, it's a joke. That's really the difference we're talking about. That's it.
You hit it on the head. And it's so funny, too, because, everyone's telling you in the beginning of the year, oh, it doesn't matter till Christmas, doesn't matter till here. You can just see it. You can just see it, the ball rolling. It was getting disastrous, and here we are. And I don't know what he's waiting for. Why wouldn't you just get the surgery now? I don't know what is the holdup. What's the stall? And also, I'm still. Listen, Tommy yelled at me for it. I'm still on the thing of you just blow it up, and that includes Maxey. As much as I love him, he's not going to want to be here. He's not. What's he going to be? Damian Lillard in 7 years leading the Trailblazers to a conference finals if we're lucky, and that's as far as we're going to get. He's not going to want to be here for the next 4 years rebuilding. He's just not. He's a win now player on a disastrous organization. Paul George had 2 points in the last game he played. You got to get rid of George. You got to get rid of Embiid. You got to start all over.
I think they really missed the opportunity to get rid of Paul George, and I don't know that it was ever really feasible, right? You know what I mean? Who was really going to take him? But you missed an opportunity to really get rid of something and start over. Caleb Martin wasn't the guy to get rid of from the offseason. It was Paul George.
And it's that for some reason it's that third contract slot where they feel so pressured to have to fill it. I don't understand it. Because it's there.
They've always panicked to fill that, right?
Oh, I'll
just
tell
because
you,
it's there doesn't mean
Daryl Morey thinks, and he's believed his whole career, which is why he's never won anything. And when it comes down to it, he believes that the more star players you have on your team, the better chance you have to win, regardless of who else is on your team. That's what he believes, which it's a conversation ender right here, and I'll leave it at this. Paul George isn't a star. That's it.
Not anymore.
So, I mean, there you go.
Any borderline ever was.
If you, this might sound crazy because mainstream media, but if you actually take the time to watch a Sixers game, Quentin Grimes is 3 times better than Paul George.
He's an airhead, I hear, though. He's an airhead, though.
I'm just saying, if we're talking about Paul George, I'll just say he is way better than Paul George is. In terms of an impact on the game, it's not, at least on this team, it's not even close. It's not even close.
Lonnie Walker might be better. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah, we'll see.
Lonnie Walker, Reading legend.
And then he's he's jacking up all these reports about it. He's like, "Oh, my finger, and I'm getting injections for my finger." It's like, just sit the hell down.
You sit down too. Yeah, just go both of you.
Yeah,
we'll definitely be in the top 6 then.
Yeah,
the funny thing is, I'm not even mad at Paul George. Like, he signed to the dotted lines. I would have too. They gave him an egregious contract. Like, it's just like, it is what it is. He's never been that good. He had like a 3-4 year stint with Indiana, whatever it was, where it's like, wow, this guy's great.
He was really good.
Decent. But this guy also snapped his leg in half. Like, we got to give him his flowers at that. Like, I don't know how he's still even playing. Like, that was gruesome. Like, he's never been the same since.
So long ago, so he's been fine.
Yeah. I know it was long ago, but like he's never been the same since. He had like 1 year in OKC where he was decent. Like, what were they? 60?
He was meant to play here, though. He was meant to play here. Someone who's like, oh, this guy's good, deserves money for God knows what reason. We'll get you in here, pretend like we're going to be good, and then it's like, oh, shit, he stinks, and everyone else knew it besides us. It's a perfect fit. I mean, the writing was on the walls since day one. I remember talking about it last year at the deadline, because then it was like, that was when his name started to heat up about us getting involved with him or whatever, and we were thrown off by it at last year's trade deadline.
I've just never seen a leash like Embiid's. Like, I don't know why it's so untouchable that this guy doesn't just leave.
Well, I mean,
because everyone always says like, oh well, yeah, you'll get something for him. You'll get something for him. You keep waiting any longer, you're not going to.
Well, I don't think they've wanted to trade him until maybe even now.
I still don't think they don't.
And I still don't think they want to.
The leash is huge. I've never seen anything like it. The leash is ginormous.
He is pretty generational when he's healthy. I hear you. That last part's pretty, questionable, but I understand why they want to keep hold of him. No,
keep a guy that sits every other game. Like, career wide, like, it's like he plays and it doesn't, like, it's like 400 or 400. He doesn't play.
Only this year he's not done the back-to-back. You know what I mean? Only this year it's been 2 games here, a game here, 2 games here, a game here, right? Like, everything else has been, when he's been hurt, it's been a major surgery or a major injury, right? To where he was just out for an extended period of time. This year is the only time they pulled that bullshit with no back-to-backs and tried to limit him during the regular season. Now, of course, that he is hurt. And now all of a sudden they don't want to get
guy's
him
a warrior.
surgery.
Like, he's a warrior. He's battled through everything. When he can, he plays. No one's questioning his 1-2. I know he'd rather be out there than be sitting and hurt. But like, it's just so funny how people just throw up the guards. Like, you can't say let's trade him. Like, it's almost like that's what I don't understand. Like, it's like the history has shown, no matter what the excuse is, no matter what the injury is, no matter what the situation is, his fault or not, come playoff time, he's not 100% and he's not ready to go. Yeah. And how great and generational he is, that's with him scoring 50 points last year in the playoffs. He scored 50 with a paralyzed face. The guy's great. Like, it's not taking anything away. He had half a face. He had one eye. He was Fetty Wap out there and he had 50. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, it's not taken away from the talent. It's just history has shown he's not 100%. So it's like you're banking every single year on your superstar not being 100%. Carrying you to a championship. It's not like feasible. It's not going to happen.
The Sixers are the literal definition of insanity in the dictionary.
Yeah, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
The literal definition of the Sixers. I hear you. Because Darius is right too, and I'm sure there's a bunch of us that were.
Dude, after the
2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Christmas game, I'm like, here we go. This is what Daryl Morey built. This is the house Morey built. Here we go. I was like, yes, this is the roster. And
but I did say then, and I'll still say it now, no matter what happens, and it is going downhill, it's still a banner season. That was a banner win. That was a hanging in the banner. The whole
Let's go, SJM. Let's do it, SJM. There's some talent at the top of the draft. There's some talent at the top of the draft.
This is one of the best draft classes ever. So people talk about like capturing the flag. You want to tank to get Cooper flag. Obviously, I'm more than down for that. But like, say in another good world where it falls to like top 5, you're still going to get a better player than we've seen the last few years. In terms of the end of the top 5.
We kill for an Ace Bailey. Yeah,
totally. I mean, Tom talks about it all the time. Like poster, like guys having a poster above their bed. Wouldn't be shy about it at all. I'd have the Cooper Flag DeJean poster behind my bed. I would not be shy about it at all. I'd be doing the shows.
Would you be like AJ Brown and buy a mannequin and put your jersey and uniform on? Did you see that?
That might be mannequin. I did. That
Unwashed.
might be mannequin worthy.
Unwashed too.
That would be the coolest picture, at least in my opinion, in the history of Philadelphia sports. DeJean in his jersey and Flag in his jersey. Oh my God.
With the
Team,
entire
team.
Philadelphia,
Great White Hope
with the entire
2025.
Phillies
Yeah.
roster in the background. Put the entire Philadelphia Phillies roster. In the
Yeah.
The photo day.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
I was
geez,
going more
what's
towards
the
like
point
the
in holding
Coop
on to
angle,
him,
but I was going the Coop angle, but I'll give you
Yeah.
that one.
I was going the exciting whites.
Yeah.
Just the whole Phillies roster.
Yeah.
Coop and Coop.
Yeah, Johnny, we should have. I mean, we there's a bunch of us that said, I know you were there. Yeah, we all can't do anything about it now.
Yeah, Darius, like just to wrap a bow on the Sixers thing, Maxey is the future. I'm aware of that. Like, I'm not saying like I want to get rid of him. I just think it's in his best interest to get the hell out of here. And I think in a couple of years he will be fed up. Like if it's not in the next 2 years, where he wants to get the hell out of here, because they're gonna have to start from zero. Like he's already an all-star caliber player who just got snubbed. Not snubbed. He hasn't had a great year, but like if he wasn't on this team and he was on a winning team, he's an all-star.
Yeah.
Well,
like,
I don't think
He still got snubbed, though. He still got snubbed.
Yeah, he did.
I feel
I
like
don't
LaMelo
think-
got snubbed.
I think
Not that he plays
LaMelo
winning
got
basketball,
snubbed
but-
way more than Tyrese did. But yeah.
Yeah.
I'll never root for LaMelo, so I don't care.
Yeah, fair enough.
By the way, did you see their
LeVar.
LeVar got his foot
Foot
taken off?
amputated,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
But yeah,
Glad
split
to
ticket
hear
off.
you.
That's
Yeah,
insane.
he got it
Foot
amputated
amputated.
for some
Yeah.
reason.
Medical.
Glad to hear he's in good
Tried
spirits. though. I
those
don't.
big baller brand shoes,
Oh my God. I never even heard
Called
it. I'm missing
infection.
everything.
Yeah.
I just saw it on
happened today.
Twitter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it happened today.
Yeah, it's like TMZ or some shit. It's too funny.
Oh my
All right,
God.
it's enough Sixers. Get me out of here. I don't want to talk about that.
But
Yeah, all right,
real quick.
let's go.
We get more than what LA got just because that was a
Yeah,
backroom
don't-
deal.
Oh yeah,
that was a
I'm
backroom
saying
deal.
that was
Don't count your
egregious. We
eggs.
talked about that 2 weeks ago. That
Yeah.
was
Don't count your
egregious.
eggs. You don't know what the hell you're going to
Jesus
get back.
Christ.
And Dallas knew exactly what they were doing too, so they wanted to do it. So it was a backroom deal. It just from the outside, why didn't you just open it up, right? You could have gotten so much more, but they didn't want it. They wanted that exact thing, and that's what they wanted to do.
Oh my God. If Daryl
objectively, I
Morey
think it's
traded
hilarious.
Embiid for Doncic, that would have been crazy. Like that would have been the best thing possible.
Yeah,
Could you
that
imagine
would've been
having
great.
Luka here? Like, oh my God.
Can you
like,
imagine
just,
waking
just
up to that?
360? Dude, I wouldn't have
I
believed
remember
it.
waking up to Tobias Harris during that trade deadline.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're gonna.
That was a 2 a.m. Woj bomb.
Yeah.
This was a
Dude, my
12:30
roommate-
Shams bomb.
Yeah, my roommate woke me up for the Tobias Harris, and he was like, dude, we just got Gary Harris. And I was like, Gary Harris? I was like, what? He was like, yeah, we signed him to the whatever deal. I'm like, Gary Harris? Like, I was freaking out. I was like, why would you get Gary Harris? He had that 6-month stint with the Magic that he was like playing okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, no way. But it was Tobias. I'll never forget that. He woke me up. It was
that's
like
great.
3 a.m.
Awesome.
Before we transition over to Phillies, everyone hit that like. We're at 24 likes on Facebook. There's 42 of you guys watching here. Let's go. It's unacceptable. We don't have a liking person in here. Let's go. And we're off the Sixers. We're done.
Done.
We gave you
Get rid
5
of it.
minutes to Sixers. That's it.
More than
It
they.
was long.
More
5
than they
minutes,
deserve.
2
I
minutes.
hear you.
Yes.
Cotton ball. Yeah, we did. We talked about that a little earlier. Cotton ball
Right.
out.
That's why.
It's
like,
one of the
these
two spots. It's
aggregators-
either Philly or Detroit.
These aggregators I saw like on Bleacher. I saw the clip, and then I just so happened to get a notification about it, like on Bleacher Report, and be like, "Oh, like he's interested in return to Detroit." No, he wasn't. Like
No,
that
he
was the
didn't
most
actually say that.
aggregated. Like,
If-
thing, like, what are you talking about?
I do. If we're transitioning Phillies, I saw the Castellanos clip. I don't know if you guys saw it. It was an interview Castellanos had.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he basically said like this year there's no pressure compared to last year. They had a bunch of pressure, saying like he was comparing the 2 years, like the 2 seasons. He said going into this year, you got the media saying that they haven't done anything, which isn't wrong. We haven't made any really
Right.
big moves. And he said that there's a lot less pressure because if they don't do anything, then the media's right. He's like, which is cool, which I thought that was weird. And then he was like, and if we do something, then we're just proving everybody wrong. So like we got nothing to lose. And I was like, okay, that's an interesting way to spin it. Castellanos
It
is
is.
like weirdly intelligent.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, I enjoy listening to Nick talk. He's just sometimes he's out there though.
yeah, I
Like,
mean, when
did you
live
hear
in
early in the
Ben's
off
house,
season when he said he would have voted? Who's the idiot from the Mets?
Cohen.
and there's a lot of them.
No,
Oh yeah, no, I saw what you're saying.
he wanted him MVP.
He went off in
who
the
was
series. Yeah.
Yeah, the infielder, third baseman. No, second baseman.
You mean what? Lindor, shortstop?
No.
No, not
no.
Lindor.
What are we talking
Oh
about?
my God, why am I blanking on the name?
Yeah, this is bad. This is
What?
bad.
Oh, second baseman is
Someone else.
I forget. Is that the dude? Who's the dude that sprints up and down when he walks?
Was
Is
it
that the guy?
was it Vientos?
No, it was. Oh my God,
Yeah, I don't think he's on the Mets.
he was the
anymore.
singer. He did sing the song.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Also, be good to the Mets. You just cost yourselves a World Series by signing Clay Holmes. So any chance you had, just went. Congrats.
Oh
I don't know. I know exactly who you're talking. I saw it too. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Was it the Mets second baseman last year?
Iglesias. Yes.
Iglesias. Yeah, Iglesias. Oh my God, I don't know why. I mean, I know why because he's not even on the roster this year. By the way, I don't even think he's with them.
Yeah, I was just saying.
But to your point, Mikey, he was having a conversation where I think Chris Rose, and he's like, "Yeah, I mean, if I was a voter, I would have drafted. I would have, voted for Jose Iglesias to be MVP. He's really turned the corner for that team." And I'm like, I hear it, but we had a 50-50 year, bud.
I would have voted for Pedro. No, this is the same guy who said his favorite superhero is Scooby Doo. The way he spun that was crazy too. He was
so funny.
Yeah, he was like he's a dog.
Thanks,
you never
Casey.
seen that, Luke?
No, I haven't. Well,
Luke,
I'm not the big Phillies guy, but
you got to look that up. It's awesome. There's a video of like some random dude interviewing him in the outfield. I think it was like the All-Star break, and they were like, "Nick, who's your favorite superhero?" And he was like, "Scooby Doo." And he's like, "I don't think Scooby Doo is really a superhero." He's like, "He's not." And they're like, "No." He's like, "He's a dog that solves mysteries for the better of the people." He's like, "That's a superhero." He's like, "It's a talking dog."
All right. So now going back to our conversation that we had over the summer, they need once maybe force him to retire. Podcast Castellanos, grow the game. That's your only chance.
Podcastianos?
Yeah, Podcastianos. That's your only chance.
I love that.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
That's a good name too.
I think we just started a Podcastianos. There you go.
Should maybe DM him, make a few bucks.
SJM said Painter will be in a bullpen by July, barring his setbacks, and finally see him in the big leagues. Yeah, I don't know if it'll be bullpen or starter, but I hear you. It'll be July or August. That's for sure.
Yeah,
he better be in the big leagues because I know he's had setbacks. I know he's had injuries. I'm sick of hearing this guy's name.
Did you see who he's working with today?
In the lineup
yesterday?
Cole Hamels on the changeup.
Oh, don't give me a changeup on Painter. Oh. See, it's funny, though. It's funny that SJM brings that up. The last two off seasons or the last two postseasons, I thought Painter should have been in the bullpen for both of them. Because you just give a different arm, right? You give a young arm a chance to see it. Think of like what Adam Wainwright used to do, right? When he started his career and they were young and they brought him in a bullpen. He doesn't have to throw a whole ton of big innings, but you can't tell me you would have rather gone to Estevez there in the sixth inning of the clinching game, or would you rather go on the Painter, right? Some guy that can get length and some people haven't seen a lot. I just think the ability to put something in that bullpen for a pennant run and for a World Series run that people haven't seen all year would have benefited them, would have benefited Painter, because then dude went out to Arizona and dominated the Arizona Fall League. So I think he's and SJM says that's what they did with Kirkring 2 years ago, right? Kirkring got up that last game of the year, and then he was lights out in the bullpen until he ran into the buzzsaw.
Yeah, he couldn't have been as bad as like Colby Allard.
Yeah,
like come on, like there's some guys that like question.
Yeah, I just feel like that. We're too missionary at times, right? And I get it. It's the big moment, right? You don't want to set these guys up for failure, but at the same time, think outside the box a little bit. I mean, the Mets have freaking Jose Iglesias on their roster. I mean, that's outside the box as it comes, right? But I'm excited for the year, despite them not doing anything, right? I kind of agree with Nick. I do think there is a little less pressure, even though there's probably more pressure, because I think everybody is down on them, right? I
mean, I'm at a spot where like they didn't do a whole lot over this offseason. They signed Max Kepler. He's fine. Like I would have liked them to do more for the other outfield spot. I mean, I know they've been talking about how JT might get some outfield time, take some pressure off his knees. He's been taking fly balls.
Okay. Like Jose Altuve.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. What I want to see was, there's been rumors about them changing the lineup a little bit.
Yeah.
I know Schwarber loves hitting out of leadoff spot. I'm a baseball purist, though. I want to see Trey Turner leading off every day.
Yeah.
I want to see like Turner, Harper, Bohm, then Schwarber, then you can just fill in whatever you want after that.
I would prefer that as well, but I also you can't sit there and look at the track record and say he wasn't effective.
Oh no, he's
right.
I hate this argument. I hate this argument.
I hear you, but
the Phillies are a good baseball team. So when you have a sample size of 4+ years with a good baseball team, the numbers are going to be good no matter who's there.
Fair.
You could have had Johan Rojas lead off the entire season. We might have lost 5 less games. Like you're going to have the same success. And when you give a smaller sample size with him not leading off in 20 games, you're not at baseball. You know how it is. You need that 162 to really see it. Like, I don't know. The leadoff argument, it's just like
that's a fair point.
He's not a leadoff.
That's a fair point. I can't disagree there.
And
but I am interested to see if they
hitter,
keep it. Right, if they keep it, I do like to see Trey in the 1 hole. Harper in the 2 is interesting, right? I kind of feel like I agree with SJM that you got to leave him in the 3 hole, but then who you put in the 2 hole, right? So I think it's got to be Bryce. If you're doing this wholesale change, I think it's got to be Bryce.
Well, so
and the logic behind like your best hitter being leadoff, like it's the most home runs. That's why they do Schwarber. But if it's gonna be your best hitter, then you do a Bryce. If that's the logic.
Bryce, yeah.
Well,
I'm
super high on Trey having a bounce back year. Like he hit almost 300 last year in 120 games. He was banged up for a bit.
Yeah.
And he was really cooking before he got hurt. So I'm thinking that he has a really, really good year, setting the table for everybody, putting Harper in that 2 spot. Would I put him 3? Yeah, but then am I putting Stoddard 2 and you're back and you got 3 straight lefties there? Yeah. Probably not. So I mean, I don't necessarily want Harper in the 2 slot, but it's probably the best spot if Turner's going to lead off.
Right. Yeah. And that top 4, even with Bohm in there, and it's not a shot at Bohm. It's a really legit top 4, right? Bohm in the 3 hole. Yeah, you just have to hope that Bohm is hands, right? And I know it's something Tommy's always brought up because I was really down on Bohm at the end of the year. I would have traded him this offseason. But something Tommy's brought up before in the past too is he was dealing with a hand injury, right? So now that hand potentially is fully healed, right? He was in New Orleans with his old lady, right? He was doing the ESPN stuff with Kate Dolan and he seems to be in good spirits with all the videos and stuff that you see right there now. So I'm hoping he's obviously primed for a bounce back year, and there's no better time for that bounce back year than your final year of arbitration.
Yeah, and I'm in a spot where like, if you theoretically go with the lineup that I put out there with him in between Harper and Schwarber, he is going to see so many fastballs.
Yes.
So many because they don't want to put him on for those guys. Like he's either going to have Harper in front of him, they're going to pitch around him. And they're going to throw to Bohm. And we saw last year, I think he hit like 40+ doubles. Yeah. And he was a stud. He was an all-star.
Yeah.
So
he had a great year. Just after he got hurt, and I guess, to Tommy's point, that's a huge part of it. He didn't perform very well. Johnny, one thing to think about Stubbs, though, Johnny, is they signed Stubbs to a 2-way contract or a minor league or major league deal. I think Marchand will be your everyday backup catcher. And Stubbs is going to start in AAA. I really do believe that because Marchand is out of options. So if he doesn't make the team out of camp, they have to offer him, they have to put him on waivers. So that's why they did re-sign Stubbs, and I agree with you in the somewhat disappointment. But when you actually looked at it, was a two-way deal or a minor league. It was a minor league deal with an option for a major league. So I don't think he's going to be the backup. So I think we can push that to the side at least for now until one of them gets hurt, right? Because Marshawn's big thing up until this past year was always his injuries, right? Marshawn was always hurt in the minor leagues, and so he was never reliable enough to ever really take that backup role behind JT.
Yeah, I mean, in the limited sample size you saw Marshawn last year, I think his first game they were playing the Orioles, hit a home run. I'm like, all right, I love this kid, and he's got an insane pop time.
Yeah,
but again,
he's just as good. Yeah, I don't say just as good, but he's
very
adequate
defensively.
That,
Greg, this summer. I remember asking you that this summer. Like, this guy gets paid to be a cheerleader. I've never seen anything like this in sports.
Yeah,
I'm like, I would take the money to do that too.
Cheap vibes officer.
Yeah, like he stinks when he plays, and he's a cheerleader. Like that sounds amazing.
He can bunt, though.
And then it's like, oh my! Once he has to play, then we'll sign somebody else.
Only guy on the roster that can bunt, though. That's the only thing he brings.
Yeah. SJM Stott had an injury and he didn't disclose until recently, and it was giving him issues at the bat. So I'm with you. I hope he has a monster year. I mean, buckets. I mean, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, months ago, that he is probably the key to this season from outside of the top guys, right? Like Bryson Stott outside of the top guys is the key to this season, and I think he's been the key all year. The last two seasons.
I also think he could eventually be a top guy. He's already like a Gold Glover.
Yes,
he's already a great glove. Yeah, not that he is, but I'm saying like
again, he's another guy. I think he had insanely bad luck last year. I don't have the stats in front of me. I think he had insanely bad luck. I think he had the most like hard hit baseballs like at people last year.
Yeah, it felt like it, right?
Well, he also had a kid. Didn't he have his first kid?
He did. He had first kid. Yeah.
Like, dude, that hurts because you're on the road all the time. The wife's probably nagging you to do this, that, and the fifth. And when you go home, you just want to do nothing. And now you got to take care of the baby.
Worry about kid.
Yeah. You haven't heard his first words or him, whatever. I don't know where he's at, but like, there's a lot of stuff you missed.
But it's change, right, Mikey? It's change.
Yeah.
Right. It's change to what your routine was. Yeah.
He's crying at 3 a.m. and the wife's the one that deals with it 6 days of the week. So you got to go step in. Like, I mean, there's like little things, but like having a kid especially that young, like that probably doesn't help.
No. And it changes your whole lifestyle and your whole routine, right? And we know baseball guys are all about routine, right? Pat, Marshawn being a switch hitter is key. Johnny, I am actually going to the game on Saturday. I'll be at the Tiger Stadium to see the Phillies on Saturday. Nice. And I think the guy you're talking about is Eduardo Tate. I will see. I would assume, I don't know who's going to be with the team on Saturday. I don't think it's going to be, the heavy hitters, game one on the road, but we'll be there. That's like halfway for me. Lakeland's like halfway between here in Orlando and full Clearwater. So I'll see them actually game one. And then I think we got tickets to the Monday, the 24th, the game right as they get ready to go home in Clearwater. So I'm anxious. I'm getting ready. I'm pumped. Get to see some live baseball this weekend. Right before coming back up to the frozen tundra.
Yeah, like someone said it's sports hell right now. Usually it is. Yeah. Like you're right. But the fact that the Eagles won the Super Bowl is huge because it just rolls right into spring training. Like not that absolutely. You get pumped up for a spring training game, but like it's just like as soon as the Eagles won the Super Bowl, it was like bam.
A week later, I'm going over it. Yeah, exactly.
It's awesome. Like it timed out perfect because you're right. It would totally be sports hell.
Yeah. A week later, we're heading over it. It'll be awesome. I'm pumped. Super early. Where do you guys see them finishing in the East? Where do you see them finishing?
Second, behind the Braves.
You still have the Braves up top.
Yep, Braves are the best team in the division when they're healthy, for sure, bar none.
Interesting.
I mean, our rotation's better, but their lineup has proven that they just grind things out. They'll drop 7 on you.
I just worry that I don't worry about it. I hope that them letting Fried go and Strider coming back from injury, right? I just hope that they're not as effective from the starting pitching because but I'm with you. I got him second. To the Braves.
Yeah. I want the Braves to win the division, and they can have their week off. We'll keep playing.
Yeah,
and we'll
we'll keep
them
playing.
in the divisional round. There you go. Deal. Done deal.
Mets don't scare me yet. Mets don't
Not at all.
scare me yet. They don't have the pitching
Clay
to scare me
Holmes.
yet.
Clay
The
Holmes.
Mets are going to
kidding?
stink. They're going to win like 85 games this year. They're not going to be good. Mark my
Clay
words.
Holmes.
That's
I
a
haven't
good
decided
question
on the
though.
entire yet, SJM though. I'm probably Phillies gear, but I might pimp some Eagle stuff.
It's a good question where they finish, like first, second, because I don't know. They like we said, they've done nothing. And I think you're gonna if they start off slow. Like I could totally see this being a collapse season too, where it's just a fire sale at the end of the season because you're gonna lose the fans.
If you look at this, or if you look at Johnny's comment from earlier, right? They've gone down every year since losing to Houston.
Oh, I was just gonna say they're
doing
getting
the same thing.
They're
getting potentially willing.
They're in the conversation of being like the glorified Sixers. We're like, at least we got you to a World Series.
Yeah.
But it's like we kind of all know how this might end. Like,
this might be a collapse year and a fire sale at the end of the year.
Oh yeah, no. This is if they don't win this year, this is the last year of this. Like you got guys that are their deals are expiring.
We got a 4-hole.
So
we got a 4-hole leading off.
Even with it, right? We know Schwarber's coming up. We know Real Muto's coming up. Whether we don't don't know how the season is going to play out right now yet or not, right? But those two guys are coming off for contracts. Their contracts end at the end of this year, among other guys. But those are the two highest paid guys. So it's a matter of if we play well and we win and we do something in the playoffs, you're probably bringing both of those guys back at a discounted rate, right? You're both not getting $20 million again.
Yeah, probably give them each like 2 or 3 year deals.
Yeah, or we cut bait and we go, all right, fresh blood. See you, Kyle. See you, JT. We'll move Bryce.
I think that's more realistic.
We'll move Bryce to DH because we got to find a spot for Bohm because Aiden Miller's coming up, right? I loved Aiden Miller's comments the other day about asking, seeing you playing in multiple different positions. He goes, I just want to, when I come up, I want to stick. So I'll play anywhere I need to play to make sure that when I come up, I stick. I love that. I love that from a young guy.
I hope that he comes up and he's like the Alex. What happened when the Astros brought up Alex Bregman?
Yeah,
like he was a second baseman or shortstop like his entire career. They just threw him over at third base. Yeah, you saw the money he just got. So
I would have been comfortable going. And again, not my money, right? But I would have been comfortable going 3 for $100 for Bregman. 3 for $140 is insane.
Yeah, that's absurd.
He's
had his last 2 years haven't been great.
They haven't been great. No.
They've been good.
But he'll pepper that wall though. And I thought he'd pepper Citizens Bank Park. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've never been. At least last year I've been a huge.
We'll see. We'll see, Johnny.
This should be a collapse here. We got a 4-hole.
It's either that buckets, right? Or it's Bryce Harper, it's Trey Turner, it's Castellanos, it's JT, it's Schwarber, putting everybody on their back and living up to those contracts, right? I'm not saying they all have it, right? But I'm saying they all have it together, right? We haven't seen a lot of what we perceive as they didn't do anything this offseason. It's because we have $600 million guys in our lineup right now, right? So how much of we didn't do anything just turns back to you guys got to do it finally. Now it's on you guys. We can only go out and sign so many $100 million guys or $300 million guys before finally it turns on to you guys got to do it.
Yeah, the only guy who I think was worth any money this year was Soto, and he was going to the Mets in April. So
yeah, I agree there. I would have loved another arm.
Bullpen arm, absolutely. I can't
both
believe
arms.
They didn't do anything.
Both arms.
Oh,
I would have loved another righty arm, though. I'm just not thrilled with 3 lefties to end it, but it don't matter.
Well, yeah,
right? If Luzardo's on fire, he's good.
Yeah, I mean Painter's coming up.
Painter, that's right, Painter, so, and then of course we got Taiwan, right? We got Taiwan.
If that dude pitches for the Phillies this year, I'm going to burn Citizens Bank. I swear to God.
We won't clip that part. We won't clip that part.
Here, we have Bryson Stott coming off an injury and having a kid and having a terrible year. We have a 4-hole that's batting leadoff, who's not getting any younger. We got JT, who has terrible knees, who's not getting any younger. Maybe not terrible knees, but he's a catcher. His knees can't be great. You got Bryce Harper, who can he even be any more clutch than he's been? And he's probably going to ask for that contract extension. John's totally right. He wants it. He keeps poking at it. And I've never seen a guy be so clutch every single time, especially in the game of baseball. It's so hard to do. Like, that luck has to come to an end eventually. Yeah. You got Alec Boehm out here with Aaron Kate Dolan, ESPN. I don't know. Like, this could be a total collapse season. Like, I could totally see it. Or flip side, just complete 180. This is the last dance. Like, this is like, all right, we know what we can do. We're capable of it. This group. Push. With this group. Yeah, I'm not saying we're in it, the window's closing. I'm just saying window's closing with this group.
Right.
This is really like the last year of it has to be the last year of this core.
Because to your point, if it's a total collapse, Schwarber's getting moved at the deadline, JT's getting moved at the deadline, Bomer might get moved at the deadline, right? You know what I mean? Like, so to your point, if they aren't all balls to the wall and playing up to their contracts or in Bohm's case, what he wants his contract to be, it very well could be the end of this current iteration of the Phillies.
I think it has to be. Like, regardless of whatever they do this year, they could win the World Series, right? You can't bring all of these guys back. And I think that's what ended up happening with, the last time the Phillies were this good. They had that 11 team that won over 100 games. They were really, really good. They had those guys on, contracts, and they held on a little bit too long, and then they were bad for 10 years. So you got to make sure that we're not going to give those 30-plus-year-old guys another 5-6 year contracts.
Yeah. Yeah, there is that argument, too, even going back to the 08-09 teams, right? Like, did we hang on to Chase Utley too long? Jimmy Rollins too long? And all rightfully so, right? You know what I mean? Like, when guys win you a championship, you want to keep those guys in-house as long as you can. But you're right. Maybe we did hold on to them, and maybe this is the end. And I think that's fair, right? You guys had 4 years, 5 years, and you won a lot of baseball. You just didn't get over the hump yet. So go out with a bang this year. I love it. So let's go. We're getting ready to get out of here. 35 people watching, 26 likes. Get us 4 more likes. Get us over 30. Let's go, people.
New Year's resolution wasn't nothing to do with the gym or like sleep or anything usual or important. We're locking into the Phils this year.
Let's go.
We're winning the division.
Let's go.
And
let's go.
I don't know why. This is our year.
I love it, Luke.
I'm going to see Painter on the mound. I'm tired of hearing his name. He's going to be on the baseball field.
He's got to, right, Mikey?
Oh my God! I'm like, every year it's Painter. It's like, dude, it's the same conversation. I'm waiting for Andrew Bynum to play basketball. It's like
it really is.
If
not Painter, can we at least get a Mick Abel, please? Like, one of the two. Like, you heard both for so long.
Yeah. Aiden Miller, friggin' Crawford.
These guys are 27. Andrew Painter's 21 years old.
I know, but I swear to God, he's 21 years old, and I've heard his name for 17 years. It's nonstop. Like, we got Noah Syndergaard pitching World Series games. Like, it's a joke. It's like,
not even the good Noah Syndergaard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh
my God.
Christ. Not even the Mets. It was the Angels. Speaking of, man, poor Mike Trout.
I don't even Mike Trout. Stay healthy this year,
He's choosing that life too. Like, you want to stay there, that's on you.
I hear you. I mean, $400 million is a lot of money. I hear you.
I completely agree. He's fine.
I'm just hoping the inside sources can get me onto the course. That's all I'm hoping for.
He's going to be like
I'm hoping for the inside sources can get me on the course.
Yeah, for Charles Barkley with injuries of the MLB. And he's fine with that. He doesn't give a shit. He's fine.
No, the only reason he's messed up is he's in California. They're taking half his money.
They're taking half his money. Yes. Yeah. That would probably be reason number one why I would have asked for a trade or not signed the $400 million contract.
I never thought about that.
That's the smartest thing Shohei did was defer all that money. So then all his big money is not taxed by California.
Yeah, when he moves to Texas or something.
When he moves or back to Japan.
Yeah.
Where it's probably not taxed at all.
Probably.
I don't think it's going to be covered by committee unless Romero's or Romano's hurt. I think Romano's the guy. I mean, sure, you're going to see other guys in spots. I think Romano's the guy, and I'm good with it when he's healthy. I do
again,
think we do
he's
need.
let
I
those
do
guys
think we do
improve
need another
themselves.
arm, Ryan. I agree with you.
For sure.
I think we need an arm.
I think our bullpen.
We'll see
like,
that.
weird.
We'll see if our Shohei Ohtani can. I saw his bullpen the other day. I don't even know his name. I should probably know his name. But our free agent signing from Japan looked pretty decent in his first bullpen. Kaio Ayagi.
I think it's weird because the numbers tell you our bullpen's great, but I think they're just so overhyped. Like Kirk Green's solid. He has like 2 pitches.
I will buy into Jose Alvarado
there's
never looked better physically.
Yeah, he does. He looks slim.
He looks slim. Yes.
Yeah,
I will buy into that, right?
Ranger Suarez. I feel like he's another X factor. When he's on, we're untouchable. But last year he fell
I
off
wouldn't
a
be
cliff.
surprised if he's a bullpen arm by the year. Like when we talk about moving Painter up and we talk about some of these other things that can happen, I wouldn't be surprised because again, I just don't know how teams like having 3 lefties at the end of your rotation. If they're all good, it doesn't matter, right? But
I don't think it's going to be 3. I think they're going to put Sanchez 2 in between Zach and Nola. But I see your point.
You think so? Yeah. Switching it up. I thought the same, but I just know what they how they think of Aaron. They wouldn't necessarily maybe do that opening week. You know what I mean?
Like, you could because you have that you have the opening day, then you have the off day after that, so you can do something like that and maybe skip a Sanchez start and then slide him in the next time. But I think they'll do something like that. Yeah,
it could be. I thought of that as well, just to kind of if for nothing else, as we mentioned, just split them up a little bit. But yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if Ranger, and I think Ranger's another one of those guys too. He's up for a contract. All right, and it was strange to me last year that they didn't re-sign him right about when they re-signed Sanchez or extended Sanchez. So I wonder if they're kind of.
What did he start off? Was he like 9-0? Wasn't he like 9-0?
Oh, he's like the MVP. Yeah, he was the MVP, Cy Young. He was all of it. 9-0, 10-0, 10-1, something like that.
His family finally came over from Venezuela, wherever they're from. As soon as they came over, he was 0-16. I don't think he wanted.
And he got hurt. He got hurt on the hand and everything like that. So
he finished 12-8 last year.
Yeah, I feel like Suarez and Stott are my X factors. I feel like when they go, we go.
Love those.
Every time they go, we go. That's just obviously the stars. You need the stars to be stars, but I feel like they pick each other up. If Turner can't hit side of a boat, Harper will pick him up. Bohm struggles. Castellanos is going crazy. I feel like the stars cancel each other out.
They hope you do. They hope they do.
Yeah.
All right, boys. As we get out of here, what's your score predictions for tomorrow's USA-Canada game? Are you guys gonna be tuning in? Are you guys gonna be watching?
You gotta be honest. I'll see the Instagram clips of the fights, and that's it.
Okay. You're not a hockey guy, Mikey?
I am, but they got me working graveyard shifts over here.
Oh, brutal.
Little Timmy needs to learn how to bunt at 9:30 at night.
Yeah, I hear you. Little Timmy needs to know how to do a lot of things at 9:30, and not be here is one thing. It's almost like if you knew a guy, right? Could get you a better schedule one time. All right, what's your score predictions?
I don't know, but I can't wait for the NBA to copy this shit, and then Wemby and LeBron are throwing hands next year at the All-Star game. That'll be fun.
I did love seeing. I hate PK Subban, but I did love seeing him go scorched earth on the NBA yesterday.
That was the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen. That entire weekend was the whole time they kept one-upping themselves. I'm like, how could they make this worse?
Yeah.
And then they just came up with another dumb idea on top of it. I'm just like, who actually wants to watch this? And there's people getting paid tons of money to come up with the entire plan for the whole weekend. And this is what they come up Jesus.
The craziest thing is, I saw this. I don't know if you saw this. There was 2 hours and 26 minutes of commercials and breaks, with Kevin Hart talking and all that. And
that's it.
What up, Derek?
I saw that.
Yeah, that's terrible.
33 minutes of actual basketball being played.
And it wasn't basketball.
In a 3 hour, in a 3-hour show. 33 minutes of basketball.
And meanwhile, on the other side, you got dudes literally in the middle, obviously in the middle of the season. I mean, some of the best players in the world just going balls to the wall like it's Game 7 in the Stanley Cup.
I did find it awesome.
6 fights or 3 fights in 9 seconds. That's bananas.
Yeah.
I did.
What's up, Steven? Thanks for joining us, buddy.
They gave Curry the MVP. They showed a clip of Curry turning around to Tatum and saying Lifetime Achievement Award because it was in Golden State. So that's why they gave it to him, because Tatum totally deserved it, and he got snubbed again for MVP.
I was with
never winning
people.
MVP.
I don't mind
with
snubbing
people
Tatum
who
ever.
bet before the game Jason Tatum to win the MVP, and they were
so brutal,
beside themselves. They were,
He deserved
he had the lowest
really
odds. He had like the lowest odds out of all of them. They're like, "Fuck it, why not?" Like it's the All-Star game. I'm like, all right, like, can't call anything a bad pick nowadays.
He was so bad. Like you could see it. And Curry turned around and said to him, "He's like Lifetime Achievement Award." Sorry.
It was it was the half court shot. It was that half court. If he didn't make that,
it was in Golden State. I think that's
no. That's what I'm
reason
saying. It
why.
was he made the half court shot in Golden State, and they were like, "We have to."
Yeah,
this is it.
Yeah,
it's so funny. That shows you how much of a joke the All-Star game is too. When that entire team was guards, they literally had Durant and Tatum as the only forwards, and everything else was guards. Like, how do you?
Well, here's my question.
Wemby,
I didn't literally watch a second of it.
How is this even sustainable when like Shaq and Chuck and Kenny, like they're not going to be around forever. Like they're going to be gone. Then what are you going to do? Then Stephen A. Smith's going to draft his own team. Like what? Where is this going? Like it's
Kendrick Perkins. Kendrick Perkins.
No sense.
What they should do is make it for the finals, and it should be that way. Like just like when they used to do it for MLB. I don't know if they still do, but it should be the home court advantage for the finals is determined by the All-Star game outcome. And then they can bullshit around all they want, quarters 1 through 3, and keep it close on the seesaw. And in the fourth quarter, you'll see actual basketball. It's the only way you're going to get them to play is that they have something to play for.
Yeah. You can't even give them money because they're all getting paid millions of dollars.
I know.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. If you make it home court advantage for the finals, and you got guys like SGA, Mitchell, like you got guys that actually matters for.
Let's go, Steven. We are
pulling for USA.
Good.
Yeah,
I heard something along those lines. I heard something along those lines too of that, but only the top 5 players play in it. Like the top 5 teams in the standings, players actually play.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I saw that somewhere, and like everybody else plays Saturday night, but the top 5 teams, because they're the only ones that's going to matter to anyway, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Tyrese Maxey playing in the game wouldn't matter for him if they got home court advantage, right?
No.
Yeah, the whole thing's a joke. I mean, you got Mac McClung, like the 3-time dunk contest champion. Not that his dunks were bad, but it's like this guy can't sniff NBA minutes, and he's the face of All-Star Weekend. It's
but now we're in the midst of the dunk contest like cycle where it's like no one does it. It's a joke, and then all the stars are like, oh, we're gonna do it next year, and it's gonna be so much better. We'll be back. We'll see in
there.
Like Giannis and Ja are like, we're up next. We're doing it. Like they're not gonna do it.
They're just hyping you up.
Man, they're the Indy Pacific Suite. Holy
Jaylen
shit.
Brown tried to do it.
Thank you.
What
Thanks
time's
to your
this
brother.
hockey game on tomorrow?
I think it's 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Hold on.
Yeah, I think 8.
What even is it? Is it the Olympics?
No, it took the place of the All-Star break.
Unbelievable idea.
And I hated it to begin with. I hated it at first. I'm like, oh, it's stupid. Another stupid in-season tournament. And I'm like, no, this is awesome.
Yep. Again, like I'm a hockey guy when the Flyers are good, but watching
8 o'clock ESPN.
Watching those 3 fights
in
clips because I forget what I was doing. I saw those 3 clips in fights. I'm just like, oh shit, let's go. Okay, so whenever I get home tomorrow, I'll find my way towards the TV and turn this game.
Yeah, the only thing that sucks is it's on ESPN and their broadcasts are terrible.
Yeah, I don't know. 3-2 USA in overtime.
I got 4-2 USA. Oh, you're going overtime. That's
overtime. 3-2 in overtime.
I got 4-2 USA. Oh, 6-5. I don't know. They won't do shootout. They'll do 3-on-3.
1-0.
Which might be electric.
Grimy 1-0 win.
What?
3-on-3 great, by the way.
Grind it out.
Yeah, 3-on-3 would be electric. Top Gun pilot.
What if it was 3-on-3 all the time?
Unsustainable. Guys would be dead.
Yeah.
Maybe quick shifts.
When's the last time you were at a hockey game, Mike? You ever seen the ice? It's bigger than a basketball court.
No, I've seen it. But it's, I mean, the shifts are also basketball players, they play 48 minutes, and the hockey players, they play 48 seconds. I think
Bro,
that's
have you ever seen James Harden play a basketball game? He's walking up and
Hockey's
back
a
and
lot
forth.
more
He's
intense
fine.
than the
He's
NBA.
Oh, 100%. I'm just saying, like, you could get off the ice as quick as
Imagine
possible.
putting a beat on skates. Oh my god.
Looked like a
No
spider
injuries.
just falling
Injuries
down.
you never heard of.
Oh, good shit, boys. Good shit. Thank you, everybody, for chiming in. Your comments feed the show. We thank everybody. Another edition of A2D Wednesday night. And as always, we are brought to you by Baggio's Bread. Baggio's is located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pies, sandwich cutlets, meatballs. Mention A2D for 10% off your in-store purchase. No Tom Arnone tonight. He had a family issue. So we got Ryan joined us, Mikey Buckets, Luke, and myself, Greg Milakovic. We will see you next week. Eagles are still Super Bowl champs, baby. Oh, yeah.